Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, this is Reggie School of Fashion. In today's video, I'll be showing you how to draft, cut and sew a female pant trousers with pinafore. Also, some of the unanswered questions you've gotten from the various videos you watched in the past as regard pant trousers will be answered. Be rest assured that this video will be a final solution to every challenges you are facing in making a pant trousers. So, if you are here to subscribe to my channel, kindly do so now and also like this video so that YouTube can show it to more people like you. Without further ado, let's get started. Drafting of a female pant trousers with pinafore is divided into two parts. The first part is the pant trousers, which is the down part, while the second part is a pinafore with strap, which fall at the upper part. So I will start with the down part, which is the pant trousers. These are the measurements needed when drafting a female pant trousers: the waist circumference measurements, the hip circumference measurements, the hip level, the thigh circumference measurement, the knee level, the knee circumference, the ankle circumference, the crotch depth and the trouser length. And in this tutorial, I will be making use of the following values: waist circumference 36 inches, the hip circumference 45 inches, the hip level 9 inches, the thigh circumference 28 inches, the knee level 24 inches, the knee circumference 17.5 inches, ankle circumference 13.5 inches, crotch depth 12 inches, trouser length 40 inches. I will not be making use of this measurement the way I took them, so I have to do some calculations which bring us to this part. So my waist circumference measurement is divided by 4, which is 36 divided by 4, and I have 9 inches. I added 0.5 inches as his, then 1 inch as that allowance. So altogether I have 10.5 inches. And for the hip circumference measurement, which is 45, it is divided by 4 as well. I have 11.25. I added 0.5 as is, so I have 11.75. The thigh circumference is 28. The thigh is divided by 2, not 4, so that is 14. I added ease of 0.5 and I have 14.5. The knee circumference 17.5 is divided by 2. I have 8.75 and I added ease of 0.25, which gives me 9 inches. And for the ankle circumference is 13.5 divided by 2 gives me 6.75. I did not add any ease to the ankle circumference measurement. All these values are to be used exactly the way they were taken. If you don't know how to locate all these values on your measuring tape, you don't know what all this value stands for on your measuring tape, all the lines, the small lines you have on your measuring tape, you don't know how to read them. I have a video on how to read a measuring tape accurately for pattern drafting. You have a fraction value, how do you convert fraction to decimal, and how to convert your decimal to fraction. So this video is going to be a great help. The link to the video is in the description box. This is my pattern paper. I cut out the amount of pattern paper I'll be using according to the measurement I have. So the amount of paper you'll be cutting out has to do with the number you have on your measurement, which is the biggest number. So here I have thigh circumference. Thigh circumference is the biggest value I have. So that is what I used in cutting out the amount of paper I'm using, and I added extra 4 inches to that. I will start by drawing a border line at the edge of the pattern paper. This border line is going to be a temporary waistline, and I will draw a border line at the side as well. So I've drawn a border line at the edge and side of the pattern paper. As I said earlier, this line is going to be a temporary waistline. This pattern is the front pattern. So the next step is to insert all the vertical measurements. These are the vertical measurements we are using: the knee level, the hip level, the crotch depth, the trouser length. The measurements are used the way they were taken. No division, no subtraction, no addition. You don't need any calculation for all these measurements. So the hip level measurement I'm using is 9 inches. Followed by the crotch depth. For the crotch depth, I'm using 12 inches. So this is the crotch depth. After the crotch depth is the knee length measurement. The knee length is 23 inches. So after the knee length, then I'll insert the trouser length. I've inserted all the vertical measurements. This is the waistline, this is the hip level, this is the crotch depth, this is the knee level, and this is the trouser length. The next step is to insert quarter of the hip circumference measurement I'm using plus his, which is 11.75. You can see the way I take the measurement. I start taking the measurement from the borderline at the side. Then I'll come to the waistline and insert the same 11.75. And I'll connect the 2 points together using a straight ruler. And I'll bring it down until it touches the crotch depth line. Can you see that? So which means from here to here I have 11.75. From this point to this point 11.75, and from this point to this point is 11.75. The next step is to insert quarter of the waist circumference measurements. In this case, I will not start taking the measurements from the side. I will come to the other side, which is the line I drew out earlier. So from that point on the waistline, I will measure quarter of the waist circumference measurements forward. I'm inserting quarter of the waist circumference measurement plus his and 1 inch dart allowance. So this is the waist point measurement. After getting this measurement, then I will take my pant curve ruler, position it this way, and connect the waist point to touch the hip point. Please note, not the crotch point. From the waist point to the hip point. If you bring it down to the crotch point, there's going to be an issue around here. You will have an excess when connecting this point to the knee point. So can you see the positioning of the ruler? The curved side is facing up, the straight side is facing down, and I have the curved side, which is the back of the ruler, facing the border line. You can see that. So that is the shape. So immediately after connecting this point, make sure you come straight to plot your dart so that you don't forget. In plotting the dart, I will insert quarter of the bust span measurement. The bust span measurement is the measurement taken from one nipple to another. That is the distance between the two nipples. And mine is 3.75. That is the measurement I'm using, 3.75. Then from that point, I will measure my dart intake measurement, which is 1 inch. One inch, then divide the 2 points into 2. So which means I'm getting the middle of the space. And the dart length is going to be 5 inches for trousers. 5 inches for trousers. It is standard for all female sizes. Then I'll take my straight ruler, then connect the point together. So after creating the dart, the next step is to plot the crotch. So on the crotch line, I will insert half of the thigh circumference measurement. The thigh circumference measurement I'm using is 28 and is divided by 2. I have 14. I added 0.5 inches as his because of the fabric I'm using, which is 100% cotton, and I have 14.5. So which means the difference between the hip point and the crotch point is from this point to this point. I'm taking that measurement forward. I have 2.75. Can you see that I have 2.75? So whatever you have as difference between these 2 points, measure it and make sure you don't have to hit. It is very necessary. Measure it, don't have to hit. If you don't know how to get the value, watch my video on how to read a measuring tape. Then you bring that measurement upward and insert it on the line, on this line. This is the crotch line. That's same 2.75. Then I will take my armhole ruler to draft the crotch. So this is the crotch curve. Can you see that? And because this is a female pant trousers, when you are drafting this curve, make sure the curve is not too deep so that you don't have excess around here. Unlike that of the male, we can make it as deep as possible. You understand? But for female, just make sure it is not too deep. So after drafting the crotch curve, the next step is to divide this line into 2. So that is the crotch line. From this point to this point, I inserted 14.5. Then I will divide that into 2 to get the midpoint of the line. So this is coming downward in order to create the leg of the trousers. But I'm not going to do this point because we want to have a very curvy shape by the side of the trousers. So for that reason, I'll be subtracting 0.5 inches from here. So from the midpoint on the crotch line, I will measure 0.5 inches forward. So this 0.5 inches is coming forward, not backward. So which means after dividing the crotch line into 2, what I will have by the side is 0.5 inches more than what I have on the crotch side. So that is what I'm doing now. And I'll cross this out. Then I will come to the side of the trousers on the crotch line. I will measure whatever I have from here to here. So I will measure whatever I have from this point to the new 0.5 inches I measured out here. Then I will insert the value on the knee level and the trouser length. Now I'm connecting the point together to make a straight line, which I will be using in drafting the trouser leg. Can you see this? The shape of the trousers has started coming out already. Now for a quick recap, in case you are lost, I will start from the waistline. This is the waistline. This is the border line, and this line is used as the temporary waistline. The line I have by the side is the border line for the side of the trousers, and from this line, which is the border line by the side, I inserted quarter of the hip circumference measurement plus ease, and I have that measurement on the waist and crotch. I bring them together to have a straight line, and on the crotch line I inserted half of the thigh circumference measurement. On the waistline, I did not take the measurement from the side. I come to the crotch line. This is the crotch line. The crotch line. So the waist measurement is taken from the crotch line point. So from this point, I measure quarter of the waist circumference measurement forward. So I added ease and I added the dart allowance of 1 inch. So I have it on this point. Then from this point, I connected to the hip level. So this is the side of the trousers, and I plotted my dart. Then I come down to the down part of the trousers to create the trouser leg. And what I did was to divide the crotch line into two. I inserted half of the thigh circumference measurement, which is 14.5. So this 14.5 was what I divided into two, and I got the midpoint. The midpoint is 7.25. So, but I did not make use of this point. I brought it forward with 0.5 inches. So, which means from the half that belongs to the crotch side, I subtracted 0.5 inches and added it to the side of the trousers, so that by the time I'm connecting from the crotch to the knee, we're going to have a very curvy shape that will help the knee area to go inward. So that is the main reason I did that. And I brought the line downward up to the trouser length. So which means whatever I have from here to here was what I measured from here to here as well on the knee level. The same thing on the trouser length, and I connected the point together to have a straight line. So I'll come to the knee level and insert the knee circumference measurement. The knee circumference measurement I'm using is 17.5 inches, and 17.5 inches is divided by 2, and I added ease of 0.25. This is because of the type of fabric I'm using. So that is what I'll be having on this line. But because this line is divided into two, you can see we have it in two parts. So I will not start taking the measurement from here and just measure it outward. The half of the knee measurement will also be divided into two as well. Please don't get confused. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my knee circumference measurement, 17.5 divided by 2 gives me 8.75, and I added ease of 0.25. I have 9 inches. So which means on this line, which is the knee level line, I need 9 inches. 9 inches is what I will be inserting on this line. But because this line is divided into two, I will not just come to this point and insert 9 inches. I will divide that 9 inches into two. Again, because I have divided this part into two, and I have 4.5. So I'm supposed to insert that 4.5 on the side of the trousers and 4.5 on the crotch side of the trousers. Instead of inserting 4.5 inches here, 4.5 inches here, I would subtract 0.5 inches from the 4.5 inches I have by this side. So that is the crotch side. When we are saying the crotch, you will know it is the part that you will subtract 0.5 inches, and I will add it to the side of the trousers. So on this side, I will have 5 inches, and on this side, I will have 4 inches. So the same method will be applied on the trouser length as well. Now I'm inserting 5 inches to this side and 4 inches to this side. I will not take the measurement from here because we have the center line for this part already. So I will start taking the measurement from the midpoint, which is here. Five inches. 4 inches. So by the time I take the measurement all together, I will have my 9 inches. Can you see that? I have my 9 inches. So the next step is to insert the ankle circumference measurement. The ankle circumference measurement I'm using is 13.5. So 13.5 divided by 2. 13.5 divided by 2 is 6.75. What I'm inserting on this line, which is the length of the trousers, is 6.75. Half of it on this side and half of it on this side. 6.75 divided by 2. That's 3.3. 3.375. So what I will be inserting on the trouser length line is half of 6.75. 6.75. That is 3.375 on this side, 3.375 on this side. But because of the formula we have been using, I will subtract 0.5 from this side and add it to this side. So which gives me 3.375 plus 0.5 is 3.875. So if you cannot locate 3.875 or any value you got on your measuring tape, watch my video on how to read a measuring tape. It's going to be of help. So I'll come to this side and insert 3.875. This is 3.5, this 3.625, this 3.75, and this 3.875. I have the point here, and because I've subtracted 0.5 from this side, I will have 2.875 left. 2.875. So this is 2, this is 2.5, this is 2.75, and this 2.875. So by the time I take the measurement from here to here, I will have 6.75 altogether. Can you see that? So that means my calculation is correct. So after doing the subtraction and addition, make sure you take the measurement all together and make sure you have the exact value you're supposed to have. So do that on the knee level as well in order to be very sure. So we are almost done with drafting of the front panel. The next step is to connect all the points together, and this is how the connection goes. The connection starts from the crotch line. Don't forget we've connected from waist to hip, and we have to connect from crotch to knee. You don't have any connection from hip level to the crotch depth because we already have a straight line around that point. So just leave it the way it is. Come to the crotch point. So I'll be making use of the curve ruler. So this is the positioning of the ruler. So please, you have to learn how to use your tools. It is very important. If you have a tool and you don't know how to use them, or you don't use them correctly, you will not get the desired result. So this is how to position your pant curve ruler when you are connecting from crotch to knee towards the side. The positioning on this side is different from that of the crotch side. So the curve side is facing out. The straight side of the ruler is facing towards the hem line of the trousers. Can you see that? And make sure you have a smooth connection from the straight line so that you don't have a contour around here. Can you see that? Bring it down. So can you see this? Can you see what I have? Smooth and curvy. The shape of the trousers has started coming out already. Now we are connecting the crotch side together. So this is the crotch point and the knee point. So the positioning of the ruler will be quite different from the way we position it on the side. This is because it is the crotch area. So we have to have the curvy effect on that crotch area. So I will position my ruler in such a way it will start from where the ruling stop. The lines I have on my ruler, so where that line stop is where I'm placing on the crotch point. This way, then I'm connecting the 2 points together. The curve on the crotch side is facing inward, while the one on the side facing outward. So that is the difference between the two sides. So after connecting the crotch and the knee together, then I will come down to the trouser length. Connection from the knee point to the trouser length, I will be making use of a straight ruler. This way, I'm connecting the 2 points together. Like so, and the other side as well. Like so. So the next step is to shape the waistline. As I said earlier when we started, I told you this straight line is a temporary waistline. So this is not what we are using for the waistline. Now I want to create the real waistline, which I will be using for the trousers. This line is the temporary waistline. The reason why I'm doing this is to reduce the length of the crotch I have for the front panel. In doing this, I'll be measuring 2 inches away from the crotch depth. So you can use 1.5 inches, you can use 1.75, you can use 2.5. It all depends on the size of the wearer. But as for this measurement, I'll be making use of 2 inches. And I will take my pant curve ruler, then connect from these 2 inches points to the waist point by the side. This is the positioning of the ruler. The straight side is coming to the waist point. So what we need on this area is not a straight line, we need a curvy effect. So that is why I'm making use of the pant curve ruler. And I'm connecting the 2 inches point to the waist point. This is the front panel of a female pant trousers. As you can see, the shape really come out and is looking nice. You can see the side. By the side of the pant trousers, you must have a curved shape. So the curve must come out because of the buttocks. While on the other side of the crotch, the curve should go inward. It shouldn't come out. And from the knee to the length of the trousers, you must have a straight line on both sides. So this is the crotch curve. The curve is not too curvy because it is a female pant trousers, and I have the darts, I have the waistline, and I have the borderline. So I have the shaded part already. As you can see, this is the part I will be trimming off. So I will proceed in cutting out the shaded part of the pattern. So you can see I did not shade this area. This is because I'm not cutting it out. I'm still going to use the front panel to make the back panel. So temporarily I will leave this part for now, but after constructing the back panel, I'll still come back and trim it off. So instead of cutting on the new waistline, I will cut on the temporary waistline, which is the borderline. Now I will be drafting the back panel. In drafting the back panel, I will be making use of the front panel pattern as a guide to make the back panel. The first step is to draw a borderline on the fresh pattern paper. I'll be transferring the front panel on the fresh pattern paper, and I'll position my pattern in such a way I will have enough space, at least like 5 inches at the top of the pattern paper. I've taped the front panel on the fresh pattern paper, so I will trace out all the vertical lines I have on the front panel. I'm extending the lines to the fresh pattern paper. The knee level, and the trouser length. That's the hemline. Then I'll come to the waistline and measure the waist point and the hip level. So I have 9 inches. I'm dividing that into 2. So that gives me 4.5 inches. So after getting the point, then I will extend the line inward. So what I'll be doing now is to slash this area. So I'll be cutting from the crotch line. I'm cutting all through and leave like 1/8 of an inch. So which means I'm not cutting everything out. So I will stop when I get to somewhere around here, very close to the edge. So can you see it? I've cut it, but I did not cut it all through. So what I'm doing is I'll be spreading this upward because the back crotch must be longer than the front crotch. If you did not do this, there's going to be an issue at the back of the trousers. It will not cover up the buttocks. So which means the back trousers will not get to the waistline. So that is why you have to add extra inches to the back crotch. It now depends on the size of the wearer. We have small figure, we have medium figure, we have medium large, we have large figure, and we have extra large. For extra large, for large and extra large, you can make use of 3 inches. For medium and medium large, 2.5. And for small figure, 2 inches. So the minimum you can use is 2 inches. So I will be spreading this by 3 inches. Please pay a close attention to this. If you don't make use of the slash and spread method, which I'm showing you, you are going to have an excess on the waistline after constructing the trousers. So this method is the best in achieving a pant trousers. So I'm taping this down so that it will not shift. From this point, I'm measuring 3 inches upward. Can you see this? So that's the point, and I'll bring this down until it gets to the point of 3 inches. Then I will tape it down. The next step is to come to the crotch area. So we have to add to the crotch area in order to allow ease around the buttocks. So on the crotch line, this is the crotch line which I extended on the fresh pattern paper. I will add 1 inch to that. This 1 inch is constant for all sizes. Small, medium, large, extra large. Just add 1 inch to that. Then on that 1 inch point, I will bring it down by 0.5 inches. So this point is the back crotch point. So this is the back crotch point. So this is not for the back, this is for the back. So which means the back crotch depth is 0.5 inches deeper than that of the front, and it is 1 inch wider than that of the front. Then I'm taking my ruler to extend the point outward. Can you see this? So the next step is to construct the back crotch. In constructing the back crotch, because we have opened this area, as you can see, I've opened here, I've spread it. So the shape is no more on a straight line. Anytime you open up a pattern, you have to redraft that area because it has been altered with. I'm positioning my ruler this way. I'm going to draw the crotch line for the back pattern, starting from the waistline. Make sure you don't add any extra to the back waist point. Make sure you start from the waist point. Then I will bring it downward to the hip level. So the difference between the back crotch line and the front crotch line is this. The front crotch line is on a straight line, but for the back, it's going to be a slant line, this way. Can you see this? So this is the back crotch line. Then I will take my armhole curve ruler to complete the crotch curve. Don't forget, I've extended the crotch point by 0.5 inches downward. So this is where I'm constructing the curve. I'm positioning my curve ruler in such a way it's aligned with the slant line, this way. So the next step is to connect from the crotch point to the knee point. This construction is different from adding seam allowance. If you notice, I did not add any seam allowance yet on the back and the front pattern. So what I'm doing is the construction of the back panel. So the connection from the knee level to the trouser length remains the same. So I'm doing this by making use of a straight ruler, very close to the edge of the front panel. I'm done with the construction of the inseam side. The crotch area is the inseam, while the side is the outseam. Now I'm done with the inseam side and I'll come to the outseam. I will come to the outseam area and reconstruct the hip area. This is because of the slash and spread I did around this place. So I have to fix the broken point here. So the connection is from waist to hip. So I'm positioning my ruler in such a way it's aligned with the crotch line. Can you see this? And I'll come to the waistline. I'm drawing out the waistline. So connection from hip to crotch still constant, from crotch to knee still constant, and from knee to the trouser length. So I'm connecting from knee point to the trouser length. The next step is to transfer the dart on the back panel as well. So I'll be making use of my tracing wheel in achieving this. Now I'm done with the construction of the back panel, so I'll be removing the front panel and close up the gap. I've tidied up the back pattern. As you can see, this is the waistline, this is the hip level, this is the front crotch level, and this is the back crotch level. This is the knee level, and this is the trouser length. So the last step is to construct the dart. So for the back dart, the dart length is longer than that of the front. So I will be making use of 6 inches. I used 5 inches for the front. I'm done with the construction of the dart. The back panel is ready. At this point, you can decide to add allowance to your pattern all around. But if you're adding a seam allowance, you have to add the seam allowance that will cover for the front and the back. But because of the style I'm making, I will not be adding allowance on any of the pattern. I will be adding all seam allowances on the fabric. I will proceed in cutting out the back pattern. Then I will come back to the front panel and trim off the waistline. So this is a real waistline for the front panel. So please don't forget to trim off the waistline after constructing the back panel. So this is the back and this is the front. No seam allowance on both panels. There is no seam allowance on the front panel. There is no seam allowance on the back panel. So this is because of the type of style I'm making.